I am richer than the king. Hearing the wizard's response, the king became greatly dismayed. However, he sent out the messengers once again. What do you want? Tell us. The king will give you even the blood from his own veins. Give me a loaf of bread and a roll mixed and baked by the hands of the queen, and the prince will be set free. Oh, that's nothing. The queen sifted the flour, kneaded the dough, made a loaf and a roll, heated the oven with her own hands, and baked them. But she wasn't very skillful, and she burned the loaf of bread and the roll. When the wizard saw them, he curled up his nose. Fit for dogs, he said. Buono per cane. I've heard that expression a lot. And he threw them to the mastiff. So the queen sifted the flour again, kneaded the dough, and made another loaf of bread and another roll. She heated up the oven with her own hands. However, she was not skillful, and the bread and roll were undercooked. When the wizard saw them, he curled up his nose. Fit for dogs, he said, and he threw them to the mastiff. The queen tried and tried, but her bread always came out overcooked and undercooked. Meanwhile, the poor prince remained the wizard's slave. The king called together his royal council. Holy Majesty, said one of the ministers, let's try to fool the wizard. The queen will sift the flour, knead the dough, and form the bread and roll. But Tizzoncino will bake them. Excellent, said the king. So they did this. However, the wizard curled up his nose. This bread and roll are not right. Get out of my sight. And he tossed them to the door. He knew immediately that Tizzoncino had a hand in baking them. Therefore, said the minister, there is but one solution. What? Asked the king. Marry the prince to Tizzoncino. That way the wizard will have bread that is prepared and baked by the hands of the queen, and the prince will be free. This is certainly the will of God, said the king. Ray of sunshine, you'll be the queen if God's will be done. He issued a royal decree declaring the prince and Tizzoncino husband and wife. The wizard had a loaf of bread and a roll sifted, kneaded, and baked by the hands of the new princess, and the prince was set free. Meanwhile, the prince wanted nothing to do with Tizzoncino. Was that pile of soot to be his wife? That eyesore of a bakery girl to be queen? But a royal decree has been issued, he was reminded. Yes, he said, the king has made it. He can rescind it. Having become princess, Tizzoncino had gone to live in the royal palace. But she did not wish to bathe herself, nor comb her hair, nor change her clothing, nor put on a pair of shoes. When the prince arrives, I will clean myself up. Was it possible? And she waited, shut up in her room, for the prince to come and find her. But there was no way to persuade him to come. That bakery girl disgusts me. I would rather die than marry her. When his words were repeated by Tizzoncino, she began to laugh. He will come, to be sure. He will come. Really? Asked the prince. We'll see if I come. Abandoning all reason, and with a sword in his hand, he ran to Tizzoncino's room. He wanted to cut off her head. The door was closed. When the prince looked through the keyhole, however, he dropped his sword. Within was a beauty the likes of which had never been seen. Truly, she was a ray of sunshine. Open, my princess, open the door. But behind the door, Tizzoncino mocked him. Pile of soot, eh? Open the door, princess of my soul. But Tizzoncino laughed. Eyesore of a bakery girl, eh? Open, my Tizzoncino. Finally, the door opened, and the couple embraced. That night, they got married, and the prince and Tizzoncino lived happily and long. And so here ends our tale. Right or wrong?
Beautiful. I love the way you read it too. It's so beautiful. You should record it.
Okay.
You should record it.